Good morning from Rome. I'm here for 4 days to do some sightseeing, some exploring, and also some photography. And I thought it's a good opportunity to do another vlog, to record some of my endeavors to get the photo. And we've now 90 minutes before sunrise on the first morning, and today I tried to shoot the Forum Romanum. So that's where I'm headed now. It's a walk of like 2 kilometers from our hotel, and I should get there way before sunrise, so I'll have enough time to set up to explore. Unfortunately though, it seems I brought the weather with me. If you've seen my last videos, I wasn't all too lucky with the weather. A lot of rain, and for today the forecast is also rain. So yeah, we'll have to see if I get a shot. Otherwise, I have 3 more sunrises where I can try to get a photo. So hopefully at least one of them will get the correct conditions, good weather, no rain. So let's see what we get. So, as you can see, I've now arrived at the Forum Romanum, and I have to say it looks really great, especially with the lights on. So you have this combination of the historic architecture and then the lighting, which could make for a nice photo. So I think I'm gonna try and get a blue hour shot now, before sunrise. Also, what you see, there are already some clouds moving in, so I think the weather forecast is right and we get some rain today, but hopefully it will wait until I'm back at the hotel and maybe I get a shot. But this is direction east roughly. You see there, it's a thick band of clouds. So I don't think that the sun will break through, but I still hope for the best. But for now I just photograph this beautiful scene in the artificial lights with blue sky above. So let's get to work. So one thing that's important when shooting architecture is to get the camera level, both in horizontal and vertical. And that's very important, especially for such architecture where you have many of those columns and buildings in the image, which if I align it completely, so having it completely level, I will have much less work in post-processing to remove those tilting lines which you get if you point downwards or upwards. And for this reason I took my time to really align the camera to get it level. This makes things much easier later. So I've now started with the photos, and I'm using my lens cloth here to shield the viewfinder while I'm taking the photos, because there's some artificial light behind me, and when you're doing long time exposures you don't want to have light hitting the backside or going into the viewfinder of your DSLR. And yeah, well, Canon doesn't have this automatic shielding which some other brands have, and that way for this I use the lens cloth and shield the viewfinder while I take a long exposure. So I'm currently at f9.5 ISO 100, and I'm trying a first exposure at 30 seconds, which with the artificial light should already give me a good starting point. And I'm doing noise reduction now, it's finished, so let's have a quick look and see what we got here. So overall it looks quite good, but you see the buildings here are overexposed, so I think I have to do some bracketing, get in some darker exposures. And also for the sky I'm gonna try to do something with the bulb mode, so maybe 1 minute to get a little bit more movement in the clouds, or I might even go to 2 minutes and getting to f11 or f13 to be able to smooth out the movement there a bit more. So this is what I'm now doing, just experimenting with different exposure times and trying to get in as much of the scene as possible. And yeah, hopefully, if you can see in the distance, there are some gaps, so if the sun breaks through with those clouds, it will be an awesome sunrise, and if not, well, I at least get some blue hour shots. So back to work. While my camera is calculating another black frame, let's assess the situation again. So the clouds seem to move and the sky is clearing, which also isn't so nice. They all move to the east. I will not get nice light in the sky, but let's wait a bit longer. And also I've dropped in a 0.6 soft GND here to compensate the exposure for the sky a little bit. And I might also add another one later as the sky gets brighter, which is my usual workflow. So I start with one 0.6 GND filter, and as the morning progresses and the sky gets brighter, I drop in the second one. And this way I get an even exposure. But I'm also usually doing bracketing, so just making sure to get enough photos to be able to get the complete scene in. So let's have a look at the exposure. You can see it's still a little bit too dark, and it also helps to look at the histogram. You see it's way to the left, and I did 46 seconds. So I think I go to f11 and do 2 minutes now. And normally if you're doing long time exposures, as I'm doing now, the best way to do it is to do some test shots with a higher ISO. For example, go to ISO 800 or ISO 1600, do a shorter exposure, and yeah, get the exposure right, see that the histogram is correct, and then once you have it, you turn down the ISO and calculate your long time exposure. But on such a morning when the sky is getting brighter, this doesn't necessarily work. So as it gets brighter, your exposure times, which you just calculated, will get shorter. So for me, it's mostly, I'm doing it after my feeling. Yeah, I already took lots of long exposures, so I have a rough feeling how long I have to expose. Also, if you do calculate, for example, 4-minute exposure and you're in civil twilight, a good rule of thumb is to do half of that later, because the light changes, it gets brighter, and you would overexpose otherwise. So this is what you can always do. Calculate your exposure and go a little shorter with it. But what I'm now doing, since I'm at exposure times of 32 seconds to 2 minutes, I just shoot a few exposures. I'll just in the end use the darker ones for blending and also the brighter ones, so there's no need to get the one right exposure for me here. So, one thing you'll notice as the morning progresses, I don't change my camera position, so I'm not moving around here and trying to get all multiple angles. Also, there are not so many angles here, but also with other locations, what I usually try, I get there very early, take my time to find the best spot, which in this case is easy, but only on first sight. You also have to look for the details, so align your composition, for example. I'm not sure which church this is, but have it in the middle of those columns here. And as I move more to this side, the alignment will change. It will not be completely in the middle. And as I move to the other side, it might be blocked by those ruins here. So it's important to take the time to get it right. Yeah, and then I usually just leave the camera in place and take my photos with the changing light, which later also enables me to do nice blends. For example, also sometimes it's called time blending, so having the light which you have during blue hour, where the artificial lights are still on, and combine it with the light of sunrise sometimes. So I get many options if I just take lots of photos over a period of like 60 minutes or sometimes even a few hours. So that's a good idea. Sometimes just try to find your spot and stick with it and take many photos over a longer period of time. So I now changed my position a bit and went over 5 meters to the right. Let me show you. And the reason why I did this is that I think the sun will come up somewhere between those pillars. And for this I moved the camera a bit to the right. And also I got all the shots I needed for the photo, for the blue hour shot, with a little bit of light, pre-dawn light, so I have every puzzle pieces I need. Finished the photo, left the camera for 1 hour in one place, and now I'm gonna be a little bit more flexible and position the camera based on where the sun will appear. So I might move around a bit in the end just to get the sun somewhere between those pillars, which is hopefully where it will appear if my app I'm using is correct. So let's see what happens in the next minutes. Okay, so it didn't appear between the pillars, but right next to it, which is also perfect because it balances the composition. And I'm now shooting 5 bracketed exposures to get in the complete dynamic range. And oh, look at this, it looks really awesome. And I've gone to f16 to get a good sun star here. So we just take a few more. So if you step down the lens, then you get better defined spikes, the sun. So let's just wait. It's a little bit too loud now. So I was saying, when you go to a purchase like f16 or f19, what this usually does, it creates those nice spikes around where the sun appears. And this is a quite nice effect when you're shooting sunrises. But what also happens as the sun gets into the frame, you get lens flares. So for this reason, what I'm now doing, let me just show you. I'm moving my hand where the sun is and take another set of exposures to not have lens flares in the frame. And I can later easily blend those. But now I have to continue shooting because this looks so awesome. So, light's now gone and I'm back, or I'm on my way back to the hotel to grab something to eat, and I have to say it was a very good start to this short trip. I got some nice light and hopefully also a nice photo. But now I'm off. I'm gonna explore a little bit more of Rome today and hopefully also find some more compositions to photograph, and well, I'm sure gonna show you those then. But for now I'm off, so see you later.